What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday, or whatever day you're watching this. I think one of our most frequently asked questions here is how do you time block your day or set up your day, organize your day as a sales rep? And now, this will vary depending from role to role, if you're an appointment setter or a closer, but I'll make this kind of a general kind of framework for any role that you're in. Excuse me. But I think the biggest thing to remember when doing this, it's called time blocking. Got it from Elon Musk, and it's nothing revolutionary. Truthfully, it's really just setting up your calendar. It's to stick to it, genuinely. Like, I would say, stick to this harder than you would stick to like a diet or anything else. Like, if you can kind of it's almost like, think about like a budget, right? Your budget tells your money what to do. This is going to tell you what to do, which sounds so stupid, but a lot of us will set this up and then not do it. But when I tell you I time block absolutely everything, and like I had to literally delete certain things because like some of it is a little personal and private to me, but I time block everything, like everything. And so, yeah, even Alex, I've seen Alex, like I think I've seen him have like this bill due this day, and like it literally like on top of his calendar. And so, trust me when I tell you, if you can stick this, think about it like, everybody wants freedom, right? Everybody wants to feel free, and a lot of people think that stagnance and being able to do whatever you want is technically freedom, or like not stagnance, I'm sorry, but a lack of routine is freedom. But actually, structure and routine yields freedom, and especially in this space, it's so damn important. And so, I'm not going to run through all this stuff, but kind of self-explanatory. Like, I wake up probably right around 5, and I'll be honest with myself here. Like, I probably do like 5:15. It's not always 5 in the morning. Sometimes I'll wake up beforehand, right? Like last night, I was up at like 2 in the morning. I was texting Alex, just kind of with some things like creating this stuff and creating this for you guys. And so sometimes your brain flows, and sometimes you have to make adjustments, but I would make adjustments to your calendar as needed. Because the biggest thing, it goes back to alignment, who you are off of your sales calls or who you are on your sales calls. And if you can't keep your word and build that relationship with that conscious in your head, nothing matters, right? You're only going to regress, I promise you. So it's really, really important you do stick to this. So your wake-up time, very important what you're doing. So go to the gym. I prefer to work out at 5:30 in the morning. That's just me. I think doing something difficult in the morning, something hard in the morning, right, is probably the best thing to do, right? Because you start off hard, then you go into the day and everything's easy. So I'll do like an hour of cardio here. Sometimes I'll do doubles, like where I had dinner here. This was a leg day, so I didn't have to do. It doesn't matter what the specifics of what it is, but regardless, I did cardio this morning to make it a little more difficult, and switch this from, this would have been another gym session, but I went to dinner instead, right? So I made those adjustments as needed. Morning coffee, right? I'll sit down with my fiance. We'll have conversations. We'll just chat, talk, get our day situated. I'll walk my dog. That's Rio. And then meetings will start. Now, obviously, this will be calls for you guys, right? Calls, with prospects or leads if you're a closer. Now, if you were a setter, what I would do instead is like I would block off this time right here to be like outbound dials, right? That's what I would do instead, right? I would change it to that. And then, I would make these 2 hours right here like a break, right? And then I would do, follow-ups, right, at another time, right? I would situate it so that it makes more sense for me, but build that around your freedom, your schedule. Also, team meetings. Again, like this is technically me and Alex's team meetings here. So there's an hour for that. Always take that stuff into consideration. Also, the times when you work, and take that into consideration as well. But I'll delete this for now. And then it'll be back-to-back calls. And then as you start to have these times in between, right? So like every closer's calendar is going to look different. So for example, like my Tuesday will look really, really different, right? In between here, and especially like knowing on most offers that you can't book same day, or sometimes you can for a few hours out. Like I would throw in little things in between. So like maybe like 30 minutes here, I'd be like, walk. I'll go for a walk. Or maybe in between here, I'll throw in like, as it opens up, as I start to see like, okay, like in the next hour I'll have free time, I'm like, call mom, right? Just throw those things in there. It's very, very important. Like just try to keep these things top of mind for you, things that you, and this is very, very, very important that you also have clarity on what's important to you as far as your goals and what you want to do. Because I have a huge, huge whiteboard in my house, and Alex has been here, Jalen's been here, a lot of the guys in the community have been here, and they've seen it. Like I have goals that say like, hey, like, if I mention someone's name in a positive way, like in a story, so if I'm talking to Jalen, oh man, I really miss, talking with Ashton Hall. Right? Ashton Hall, we used to work with Ashton Hall. And then if we talk good about him, I always shoot them a text. It's just like a habitual thing that I've learned from Hermosi, actually. Like when you speak well about somebody, shoot them a text. And so like that's something I'll end up time blocking in and throwing in when I realize like I haven't done that in a while. Right? Keep those things in consideration. So like what's the overarching goal of where you want to improve and what you want to do for the year, So then you can do that daily, improve on it daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. And so when you have that very, very clear, it makes this a lot more simple, right? So if you don't have structure and you want to have, this next month I want to have more structure, right? Then do this. Make sure it's important. And if you're doing it now and you have no structure, you feel like every day you're just kind of like, oh, I'm all over the place, I'm not doing shit, or you feel like you're running around like a chicken without a head, it's because you have no structure. I promise you, this is a world of a difference. It works. It makes your life feel easy, predictable, and I promise you, like, you will feel what freedom looks like when you can kind of get away from being like shackled to your routine and schedule. I promise you, because when you're waking up maybe at 7 one day, maybe 9 one day, maybe 11, maybe you wake up right before a call, and then you feel very stagnant. You're not ready. You hop on the call, and you're like, hey, sorry. And you're trying to, like, rub your eyes out. And like, oh, yeah, and drink your coffee, and you're all over the place. You're flustered. If you can have predictable, consistent days, and I'm talking about 7 days a week. This is not just, like, 5 days. Like, 7 days a week, I promise you. Like, the results you do want will become predictable. It really will. And if you do what you say if you do what your calendar says to do, then you'll end up doing it, and you will get the results regardless. It's just a compounding action. That's how you get the results, right? And so if we're going back, I'll finish it with Monday. I knock on this meeting. And then granted, like, as closers or setters, right, whatever it is, like, sometimes maybe your dials, you might hit 75 dials, 100 dials, whatever your KPI is for the day earlier. Maybe you might have a no-show, and then maybe you have an hour instead here. Fill it in with something productive. Fill it in, because I promise you what you'll end up doing is, let me just check out what my friend is doing on Instagram. Or let me see what JJ posted on YouTube. Let me see what Alex put on TikTok. Oh, man. And then you just start getting into this rabbit hole of content, and then your next call is there. And then you wasted your time, right? And so for these blank times, I use this, like, if I didn't put anything here, right? So some of the stuff I did, but it was just like super personal and like had like personal information with like addresses and numbers and stuff. So if you don't have anything, right, that's where like what I would start to do is like with the next day, how empty was this, right? And again, I deleted these. So again, like it was probably up until like 6 p.m. that was filled. And so like that's where like you need to start realizing, okay, like how filled or not filled are my days, and what can I fill it with? And if you have one day where think about it, fulfillment comes from what you do on a day-to-day basis, right? And what you feel like you're doing. Do you have purpose? Do you feel like you have purpose? Do you feel like you're just doing nothing, right? So how many times have you been on a roll or not in a roll, right? How many times have you been, even a perfect example, how many times have you been unemployed and like, I need a fucking job? And when you're unemployed, you feel depressed. And then when you get a job and you're employed, then you feel depressed again because you hate your fucking job. There's no fulfillment. If you're not fulfilled with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, I promise you, like, you will feel empty. And so the most common thing I see when people get in the online space is that they don't fill their days up, and they feel like it's empty. They feel like they're not doing shit. But that's where it's up to you, because if I was a closer, I'd probably have, like, in the morning, instead of if I don't have morning coffee to sit down and talk with anyone for an hour, I'd be like, okay, cool, review a good call. And then over here, I'd have review a bad call, whatever it is. And then at that point, now that's already an extra hour that's filled into your day. Or if you wake up a little bit later, then obviously, boom, like if you're going to bed, let's say you want to wake up at 6 in the morning every day, probably go to bed at like 10, you don't have to fill in that much, right? But because I wake up at 5 in the morning, my mornings are typically packed and then my afternoons are pretty kind of empty. It just depends. And so that's what you have to recognize. But also recognize what resonates with you. Do I like waking up early? Do I like going to bed late? Do I like working overnight? Figure those things out so you have the most optimal routine and schedule for yourself. Because you don't want to just, and I will say a disclaimer, do not copy me. Do not copy this. Because this might not work for you. This is something that I built out for months and months and months of testing, trial and error, and figuring out what works for me. But there's times Alex will text me at 4 in the morning my time. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing awake? But he found out what works for him. Figure out what works for you. Test. Try things. It's okay if you don't know. I mean, you can maybe try my routine as like an attempt to feel what works for you, but like build your own shit. You probably know what you like to do a little bit. Don't just be like, oh, fuck what I like, I'm going to do what JJ does. Fuck what I like, I'm going to do what Alex does. No, do your own thing. If you kind of know, like, I like staying up late. But then also think about your circumstances too. Like if you have to wake up early for your sales calls, don't go to bed late. Just make it make sense. But figure out how you can make it most optimal. It's like, I don't know if you ever watched that show. Honestly, I never even watched the show either, but it was talking about like how to make yourself feel rich even though you're not. I forgot what the title was, but it was something along those lines, like how to be rich when you're poor. And basically, it's like, what are the things that you value? One thing I really value, even when I was the most broke in my life, was going out to eat. And so at least once a week, I would go out to eat because it was very important to me. It made me feel good. It made me feel great inside. And so I understood that, and I never jeopardized going out to eat, even if I was broke. Even if I was just going to Chipotle, I appreciate it. It made me feel good internally. And so like understanding your routine and what makes you feel good internally, makes you feel fulfilled, is super, super important. If you think about your most perfect day, and like a realistic perfect day, like what, because most of us, at least in this space, we like to feel productive. We like to feel like we're actually working towards a goal. And so typically a perfect day is something where you feel productive, you're getting things done, you're going in the right direction, you feel like you're going in the right direction. That's fulfillment. Just think about your perfect day, what time you'd wake up, when you'd go to the gym, when you would take calls, and when you'd be done for the day, and what you would do at the end of the day. There are those things in there. If it means that you want to finish your day off and watch an hour of Netflix, that's not a bad thing. But how much did you get done for the day to allow yourself to be able to do that? But if you didn't get anything done, you just watch Netflix at the end of the night just because you're like, oh, my day was shit, I'm going to just make it more shit. That's wrong, right? So those are the things you want to kind of include. What makes you feel rich? What makes internally, not literally rich, but like internally, what makes you feel good? Like you're trending in that right direction. Make that perfect day and recreate it. Try to do that. And that's unique to you guys. So other than that, everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. Dinner, again, walk my dog again, threw some other things in here, and then brain dump. I do this every night. This is also super, super valuable where I put it all on paper. I don't put it on my computer. I just write out for the day what I need to get done every night for the next day. And trust me when I tell you, like that's probably like the biggest reason for progression is doing the things that are said on there. And there's also this dopamine that happens when you just cross something off. You get things done. Feels good. Feels so fucking good. Get a little notebook. It's $6. I promise you. Just write it out every single day and you start crossing it off. Whew, I promise you. It makes a big difference. And you won't forget shit. And you will feel so guilty the next day that you didn't do what you had to do. Trust me when I tell you. Like, you'll be like, damn, bro. I didn't cross off my freaking notebook. Like, it's so small, but it feels so heavy. Trust me, guys. It makes a world of a difference. So I hope this is helpful, guys. If you need anything else from us, let me know. But realistically, build it around your schedule. Make sure it fits to you. Make sure it makes sense. Find some breaks in between. I promise you, do not undervalue the emphasis, the value behind a walk outside. When you work remotely, just walk outside. Create structure, have structure. I promise you, you'll feel more free and you won't feel shackled to your actual schedule and routine. You won't feel like you're working 24/7. Trust me when I tell you. Value your time, respect the calendar. Later, guys.